the fight's never happening. So.
Yes, people, and welcome back to Punches and Pundits. Now, before we start the episode, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are listening to any sort of audio platform, make sure to download the episode. Now, yesterday we had a prime time event in the UFC, UFC Saudi Arabia, headlined by Israel Adesanya against Imavov. And I'm going to start it off. Now, we spoke about it a little bit in our previous episode, and I was adamant that we wouldn't see a finish, and I must admit I was wrong, because Imavov landed that right hand straight on Izzy's chin, and that's all she wrote. Now, at first, seeing the stoppage, I was a little bit like, did Mark Goddard go a little bit early? But if we're being totally honest, a couple more punches and Izzy might have been clean out. So he might have done him a service.
Yeah, I mean, Goddard was getting a lot of stick. Apparently people saying, it was an early stoppage. Goddard does have history of stopping fights a bit early. But, yeah, he saved him from further damage. One or two more punches, Izzy would have been out unconscious. And, it's a shame because I can't lie, I was rooting for Izzy. Izzy, of course, still one of the best middleweights to ever do it. For me, the second best middleweight of all time. But listen, it comes with the territory. He is getting a bit older. For me, he's lost his confidence. He's not as confident. I don't know what it is. When he was going through, when he was the champion and he was going through all the contenders, he had a bit of aura. He had a bit of confidence going into fights. It's like that confidence has gone. Those last few losses and the loss that just happened, last night. It's sort of ruined him, and it's a shame to see, but it's the name of the game. You can't be at the top forever.
So you think this is father time? Because the thing is,
Izzy's getting on. People think because of the way Izzy acts, he's a kid, but the guy's mid to late 30s. So
yeah, he's like 35, 36.
He's not young. He's not young, and maybe he's taken too much damage.
The thing is, I won't disagree. I won't disagree with you that there's 3-4 years ago, Adesanya's not getting knocked out by Imavov, and he's not losing to him, and he might probably finish Imavov. So I will argue regarding that, but at the same time, you can't tell me that in the first round
he looked good though. You're right.
He looked good. So
he looked good, but it's almost as if the first proper shot Imavov landed. I know he landed.
He landed a good uppercut in the first round.
But then Izzy. But I remember that sequence as well. Izzy landed a few nice counters as well. But it's almost as if the first clean punch or the first few clean punches he landed on his chin, Izzy was.
But that was a smack though.
Yeah, but I don't know what
you think. You think 2-3 years ago he takes that punch?
I think he eats that. I think it's a confidence thing. I think maybe he doesn't have confidence in himself and his chin. And listen, we have to give Imavov his credit as well. It's not just Izzy not being the same fighter. Imavov, like I said, is on form.
Momentum.
A fighter that's on form, that has momentum, that has confidence, will definitely perform come fight night. And listen, Imavov is looking very good for him. He could call for a title shot next.
Well, he did.
What is stopping him from getting a title shot?
Khamzat Chimaev.
Yeah, you're right.
So this is the thing.
They could do the Khamzat Imavov in the meantime, but Khamzat is. I don't think Khamzat.
I'll be honest. Yeah, if I'm the matchmakers, this is a good problem to have. But if I'm Imavov, right, I'm not waiting. As much as you do deserve a title shot, because knocking out Izzy Adesanya after beating Cannonier the way you did, you deserve a title shot. I'm not arguing against that. You're very worthy. But there is someone called Khamzat Chimaev, and it's a star power thing, right? It's not resume for resume, because in the middleweight division, Imavov's resume and wins is very, very solid. And he said that in the post-fight interview, that I beat this amount of top 10s, this amount of top 5s. So he deserves this title shot. And we'll get into 312 and who we think is going to win. But for me, is Du Plessis will get past Strickland again, and the Khamzat Chimaev against Du Plessis fight will happen, because they need Khamzat to have a title fight at this point. Yeah, he beat Whittaker the way that he did, and that is just such a big money fight. Everyone's gonna want to know what it looks like if Khamzat's got a belt around his waist. His first title shot. Whether you rate Du Plessis or not, and this has been a big topic of conversation, because apparently Islam can beat Du Plessis, and we got loads of flack for saying that he can't. But whether you rate him or not, that will be Khamzat Chimaev's biggest test, right? So hypothetically, if he got past that, then it's really like, as much as he's a star, that's the real superstardom, right?
Yeah, Hamza with a belt is a completely
Yeah,
different
it's a different level.
And speaking on Imavov, I think a possible fight that people were talking about on Twitter is the Baralo fight. That's an interesting fight. Baralo also on form. 2 up-and-coming fighters. I mean, they've been around, but 2 fighters that are in contention for a title shot, maybe 1 win away. So that would be a great cracking fight. Chimaev, for me, has to fight the winner of Strickland Drakus. If we do an early prediction, I think Drakus will get through Strickland, even though apparently he's a bum and he's a rubbish fighter.
He's a scrub.
Yeah, he's a scrub. I think he beats Strickland, but I do think Chimaev will get the better of Drakus.
And
I think the difference between Chimaev and all of other Drakus' opponents is when Drakus gets taken down, he always gets back up. And he sort of wears his opponents down. I don't think he will be able to get back up from Chimaev. We know Chimaev will
or
take him
he
down.
would have to expend a lot of energy.
Or
to
on the
get
flip
back.
side, Chimaev, you know, like I said, he's a guy who's a monster in the early rounds. There are questions about his durability in the later rounds. You know, he has had health issues. Can he outlast his opponents? We know Drakus can go 5 rounds.
And also, I will say,
Can Chimaev, if Drakus can get back up, can Chimaev keep pushing it, and will he have the conditioning to last in the later rounds? We know Drakus can. That's the only question mark I have.
And
Chimaev,
also,
but I do think Chimaev will win.
but also in terms of pure strength, right?
Of course.
Duplessis is he's strong, bro.
Yeah,
So,
he is.
like,
He's
to
very
hold
strong.
him down-
He's a big man as well. I mean, he rehydrates to 220 pounds. He's a massive middleweight. There's talk of him going up to
205.
205. I reckon he weighs more on fight night than a lot of the light heavyweights. He's a massive fighter. You know, apparently lightweights can beat him. Yeah, but it's crazy. But yeah, that's a cracking fight. And like I said, for me, the middleweight division is one of the best divisions in the UFC. We have to speak on this. I always say bantamweight, but middleweight is up there. Look at the amount of contenders. You've got Imavov now. You've got Baralo. You've got Chimaev. You've got Strickland. You've got Drakus. You've got Derrida. You've got so many good fighters, and it's definitely one of the best.
I feel like
classes
this
in
is
UFC.
probably
Apparently, Yuri as well wants to go down to middleweight eventually. That's another contender.
yeah,
you've got
because
possibly.
on fight night he did. I mean, apparently he stayed like 3 hours in the sauna, and then he was like, he had to rehydrate, like he had to put weight back on.
Yeah,
but
so he weighed what? He weighed around maybe 207 pounds, 207 pounds. Derrida, who's a middleweight, weighed 213.
Yeah,
You've got middleweights outweighing.
and then you have Kevin Holland fighting him like at such a disadvantage. Like he's like 20 pounds lighter. But going back to Imavov quickly, right? This is his biggest win of his career. The most pressure he had. He's fighting one of the goats of the middleweight division. It couldn't have went any better for him. He knocked him out. Like I said, Izzy decision. You said Izzy decision as well, but you said don't count out Imavov.
Yeah, yeah.
But it was not a situation where we thought Imavov would finish Izzy. It would be maybe he would win a decision.
Yeah.
Maybe, I mean, I couldn't see any grappling exchanges. He did try to grapple. Izzy's takedown defense was good.
Solid, yeah.
But like I said, and I feel like a lot of UFC fighters have made this mistake, right? Waiting for your title shot is not always a good thing now. You got to think, Duplessis, right, who I think is going to beat Strickland again, he doesn't fight particularly regularly, yeah? And is it possible that the Strickland Duplessis 2 fight is going to be a war again? Very possible. So then you have, if they're going to give Hamzat the title shot, God knows when that fight's going to be. That might be back end of the year. If you're Imavov, then you need that fight to happen, and then it would be you. So you, as harsh as it is, it's just the circumstances that you should fight again. And you mentioned the Baralio fight. It will be classed as a number 1 contender fight if they make it, even though Imavov clearly deserves it already. And if I'm Baralio, I'm like this because if I can get Imavov's scalp, then I replace him, basically. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So if I'm the UFC, the Hamzat fight makes sense. It's harsh on Imavov because no one expected him to knock Izzy out. It's a good problem to have. In case, you know, Hamzat got visa issues and stuff like that.
But Dana White debunked that.
He did debunk
Dana
it.
White came out in the post-fight press conference and said all of that is nonsense. He may be saving face and just saying it just to keep the media off him. But he should be all right, especially now that Trump has a good relationship with Dana and UFC. He should be able to sort it out.
Also,
But we need Chimaev to fight.
Imavov,
We need him to fight.
Imavov could be the backup. Not for 312,
Yeah, but
for the next fight, because as much as we don't, I
And
mean,
I think,
Hamzat's unreliable.
you know, yeah. To be honest, though, with Hamza, uh, he has had health issues before, but going
You
off
think
his
he's
last fight,
turned the corner?
yeah, I think he's turned the corner. I mean, he's obviously changed camps. You know, he trains out in the UAE now. He's based out there. I reckon all of those health issues are behind him. And listen, a healthy Hamza is a dangerous Hamza. And for me, he's one of the best fighters in the UFC. For me, he's the most talented, raw talent. He's one of the best.
Whoa.
No, he's one of the best up and coming stars.
He's not upcoming anymore.
No, it's not upcoming anymore, but it's sort of like the hype that was around Hamza.
Yeah, but what were you just about to say? You think he's the best raw talent that we got in the UFC?
One of the best raw talents. The guy is a monster, bro.
No, I agree.
Look what he did to Whittaker in the first
But
round.
do you think he's first?
You know, there's a lot of guys you can put in terms of raw
For
talent
me,
up and coming.
it's Topuria.
Toporia's class. He's class.
No.
No, he is. He's there. I'm saying one of. I'm not saying Chimaev is one of the best raw.
That's a debate to have, though.
He is a freak. He's a freak.
Of course, Hamza's
the only
a freak.
question about Hamza is the
cardio
fourth,
later
the fifth round. I'm not saying he has bad cardio, but I'm just saying, you know, we saw him in the Burns fight. You know, he did win the fight, but like I said, he looked human in those later rounds. Against Drakus, listen, Hamza could submit him in the first round. I did not expect him to submit Whittaker in that first round. I thought he was going to win.
Drakus is better than Robert Whittaker.
Drakus is better than Whittaker, but Hamza could shock us all and do exactly what he did to Whittaker to Drakus. There is a chance
that would be a bigger shock.
There is a chance he does that. And Drakus is a good fighter, but I just think Hamza, you know, there was, even let's speak on it. The controversy around the video we did last time about Islam and Drakus, where, you know, they were like, we were like, Islam isn't beating Drakus at 185. But from a skills perspective, obviously Islam has the better skill set.
He's the pound for pound.
He's the pound for pound number one. He's the best fighter in the world. He has the better skill set. He's the best fighter in the world. Elite fighter. But in terms of size, when a guy weighs more than you on fight night, 20, 30 pounds, you know, the skill gap evens out because of, I mean, he's a lot bigger than you. Remember when Izzy went up to 205 against Blachowicz? Izzy was in his pomp, the best fighter in the world then as well. He goes up to 205, he looks human. The guy that he fought in Jan Blachowicz, on paper, Izzy's better than Jan. But fight night, Jan weighed had 20 pounds, 30 pounds.
But this is what I'm saying.
So, but that's what I'm saying is, though, Hamza is almost a bigger version of Makhachev. I'm not saying he's as good as Makhachev, but he's almost a bigger version of Makhachev. And I think that is a bad matchup for Drakus. The Hamza matchup is a bad matchup for Drakus because we've seen Drakus get taken down. And I think Hamza has the ability to hold him down. And I think Hamza has the ability to finish.
But I think Drakus is improving. I'm not saying I don't favour Hamza in that fight. But would it surprise me if, you know, Drakus is maybe not stuffing every takedown, but, you know, he's giving Hamza a real hard time, right? And Hamza might be winning the first couple rounds, yeah? But he does survive the third, fourth, and fifth. And that's when he puts his real work in. I mean, we got to see 312 first, yeah? But I'm saying Drakus, yeah, for me, improves every time he fights, right? He's a real hard worker, right? And actually, before, we need to stop treating him like he's a scrub. Please. Let's not
a scrub, but on the eye, people look at him, the way his style, his unorthodox style, the way he throws punches.
Yeah.
And, you know, Izzy and Whittaker came out and said, you know,
he's the best, worst fighter.
Which I understand looking at
until you get hit by him.
But it's working. That's the thing. It's working. And he's beating top fighters. He's not beating scrubs. And he's finishing. He's finishing top fighters. So you have to give it to him, even though he's not pretty on the eye. And you think, oh, what is this that we're watching? The guy is tough. You take him down, he'll get back up. You can throw anything at him, he will eat it, and he will. Walk he will test your mettle.
Yeah, but this is what I'm telling you as well. I don't even think, and I know it's a bit harsh on him, but I don't even think, even if he beats Strickland convincingly again, that he will still not get the credit that he deserves. It's only if he beats Khamzat Chimaev. Even though he would have beat Whittaker, he would have beat Izzy, finished both of them, by the way. He had a decision with Strickland. Let's say he finishes Strickland. He still won't get the credit that he deserves unless he beats Hamza. And even then, you know, people would be like, it's a fluke. Just because of his style of fighting and whatnot. When, you know, we've had conversations about if he beats every one of these guys, he needs to be, like, the conversation about him being a serious a name within the middleweight goats has to start, he still won't get the credit that he deserves because of his fighting style.
Yeah, but
and I don't think he's boring. That's the worst thing. He's not boring.
He's not boring. But listen, Dracus is quality. Hamza is quality. And like I said, it just goes back to the point where the middleweight divisions are one of the best divisions in the UFC. They're one of the most exciting divisions. And speaking of middleweight, the co-main event and middleweight bout, Shara Bullet versus MVP. And I can't lie, this result shocked me. This result shocked me completely. I thought Shara would have won. I thought Shara, being the bigger man, and I say he's the bigger man because
he fights at 185. That's what
185, and Shara is never making 170 pounds, whereas MVP's fought most of his career at 170. So in terms of weight classes and where they fought, you have to say.
Do you know what? Even
though MVP did look quite big at 185, but MVP put on a clinic, and I actually thought to myself, looking back, in the UFC, MVP's never looked bad on the feet. If anything, he's been the better fighter on the feet in every bout he's been in the UFC. Even that loss to Ian Gary, he was putting on a clinic on the feet.
But that shows the respect that Ian Gary gave him.
Until Ian Gary turned wrestler, which is obviously his MMA.
But Ian Gary
completely abandoned his striking and dominated.
But
him
Ian Gary's a decent grappler, though.
No, he's a very good grappler. But what I'm saying is, that's sort of the approach you have to take to beat MVP. And listen, could MVP turn the corner and go on a bit of a run?
I won't go that far.
Could he? I'm just putting the question out there.
But I've got a bone to pick here. I think, right, this fight was very reminiscent of the fight that MVP had against Kevin Holland. And I feel like Kevin Holland and Shara Bullet, they couldn't have done their homework. They couldn't have. They fought the perfect fight for MVP to get success, right? Shara Bullet's output was... He did in the first round. It was 0 head strikes. Yeah, 0.
But it's MVP's style, the way he just bounces.
But are we acting like
up and down, in and out?
I know, but that means did you not prepare? Did you not prepare for someone to? Everybody knows how MVP fights, right? Everybody knows how he's gonna fight. You're saying it's gonna be a striking battle, and you're tentative, right? We've been super high on Shara Bullet. He's had amazing knockouts, especially the one against Petrosian last time round. Never seen that before. But this, this is a real, it's not like he got fraud checked because someone was grappling him for 15 minutes and, he got to work on his takedown defense like a Peyton Talbot. Last time round, it's like Barcelos, he needs to work on his take. This was a striking match. This is meant to be your bread and butter.
This is more damaging. This loss.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly what you said. It wasn't like he come up against a wrestler and he exposed his weakness.
This is your bread and butter.
He come up against a striker. The fight was on the feet. And listen, it was a clinic.
Other than leg kicks.
Shara didn't look great.
Other than leg kicks, he didn't land anything significant on MVP. MVP is going to stand there, karate stance, move around and blitz. Yeah. There's nothing more. I know it's easier said than done, right? To deal with that when it's in front of you, right? But he's come out. Shara Bullet's come out. It's like I had a bad camp and whatnot, and it's like
we hear
that a lot.
We hear it, and listen, he probably did have a bad camp, but it's part of the game. There's fighters that have bad camps.
If you walk into the octagon, yeah,
it is what it is. Like I said, if it was really bad, he would have pulled out. But it's tough, I can't question him for saying he had a bad camp, but Marab had a bad camp. Fighting Umar, he coming with injuries. Everyone had bad camps. We know fighters that go into fights with injuries. It's part of the sport. You're training. The way you train is the way you fight. So you're obviously gonna take a few smacks, get injuries. It's the
I just think it's not a great look on the hype train for Shara because he was ranked 14 in the middleweight division. He's let a 170 pounder go up for an exciting fight.
That's why I said it's a risky fight for Shara because he's fighting a guy that's not ranked. And MVP's talking about going back down to 170. He doesn't want to hang around at 185.
He wants to fight Yuri at 205.
Yeah, I think that's just all. Yeah.
He wants to do exciting fights. But the thing is...
And listen, there's people that think he'd beat Yuri at 205 because they don't know how weight classes work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
he's going to knock out Yuri at 205. That's my prediction.
No, but listen, do you know what? Maybe I'm being a bit harsh with MVP because... You know what? As much as Shara Bullet wasn't great, you did your work. And you look... I mean, how old is he? 38?
Yeah, he's definitely
He's still in and out blitzing. You know, he didn't take the loss against Ian Gary too.
Because he's not, even though he's older, he's not really taken a lot of damage. He has been knocked out.
Yeah.
Maybe one. He's been knocked out once.
Lima
cold.
was it?
Yeah.
Bellator, yeah.
But in terms of damage, he's not really been. He's not really been like. He's
wars.
not been in a lot of wars. So even though he is a bit older, he's sort of a fresh fighter. So you have to take that into consideration.
So what's next for him then?
But if I was him, I'd stay at 185. Why go back down to
Really
the Shark Tank?
Who does he beat at 185?
I'd just say you stay at 185 because I mean he looks good there. You're not cutting as much weight. Why sort of go down, kill your body, go down to 180?
Do you know what fight? Do you know what? I'm gonna put it in the universe right now. If the UFC don't, because I heard, that might be a fight. If Carlos Prates against Jeff Neal doesn't get made, MVP against Prates, yes, please. Yeah, because I don't think Carlos Prates is gonna be.
And it's a good step up for Prates as well in terms of MVPs for Ian Gary, MVPs for Shara, MVPs for Kevin Holland. It's a good step up.
It would be. The Jeff Neal matchup would be much more. I mean, Jeff Neal he's smaller. You would want the fight to be closer, dirty boxing for example, land big hooks. But if Prates was to fight MVP, now we're talking like, okay, they're very similar build. They're tall, lanky guys. I would edge Prates in terms of pure power, but would he be able to deal with the blitz of MVP? That's a matchup. We said Shara Bullet against MVP. MVP showed that he's a better striker than Shara Bullet. He stifled Shara Bullet's striking. So therefore, for me, he's a level above Shara Bullet. Now let's see. And I tell you what, if MVP beat Carlos Prates, then it's like you're beating another guy. Shara is undefeated, you're beating another undefeated guy. Now we're talking about how far can MVP actually go. Because he fought Ian Gary, who literally just fought for the interim belt. So he only lost to, and Ian Gary's a top tier fighter. Let's not act like he's not. So he only lost to him, and he turned him grappler. So I hear what you're saying about how far can he take this. I think there's quite a few welterweights that beat him. But if it's a pure striking match and you play into his hands, you're in trouble. If you play into MVP's hands and you have a striking battle like Shara did yesterday, you're losing. It's as simple as that. If you just let him blitz in and out, go around the octagon, do his thing, you're losing.
It's his game, innit? It's his game. You're not really troubling him if you play into that game. And very good win for MVP. Another fight, an absolute cracker, a barn burner, one of the best fights I've ever seen. Rosenstrike versus Pavlovich.
It was a honker.
What an amazing fight.
It was a honker. My thoughts is, when you're two heavyweights like that, I mean...
But Pavlovich is usually exciting, though. He's usually a guy that goes for the kill. Rosenstrike, for me, is very underrated as well. Because he's got like a crazy record in kickboxing. But people downplay his skill. He just can't grapple. But on the feet, he's very good. So that awkward style may possibly put...
No, do you know what it is? There was a prime example in the first round where Pavlovich landed a smack, yeah? And he didn't go all out. And I feel like since he got finished by Aspinall, remember he banged Aspinall and he was like, whoa, yeah, let's go. And then he ate a smack and he got knocked out. That for me worked for him in the lead up to his Aspinall fight when he knocked out Curtis Blades and he was knocking out everyone. Derek Lewis, everyone was just flying. But since Aspinall knocked him out, you could see that even when he's got a guy, a bit buzzed, he wants to stay a bit more composed. Do you think you should have But in this fight, I feel like that was a bit detrimental because I feel like if he was to blitz Rosenstrike once he landed a big smack, he could have got... Listen, there's Aspinall and then there's the rest, right? You got knocked out by Aspinall because you got too greedy and he landed a smack on your chin.
But you shouldn't be going to other
But
fights,
you got to remember, you knocked out Blades, you knocked out Derek Lewis,
Do you
knocked out...
I think he should have wrestled more last night.
No, he should have when he landed his blitz, and he's still fast. I mean, when he landed he blitzed. He was, just putting his hands out like this, and then he'd blitz in. I'd say there's 3-4 punches there that had Biggie Boy a bit like this. Not chicken dance worthy, but I'm saying if you get into his face and start landing serious punches, he could have got the finish there. And thing is, cool, he got the win and he's back in the winning column, right? After losing to Aspinall and Volkov. But I mean, even Aspinall came out. It's like stinkers. What's this about?
Yeah,
the heavyweight division can be like that, though.
Yeah, it can be like that. But I think Jorginho is just such an awkward fighter, and he's so good with his counters. The guy has like I think it's a 10-second knockout, or even less than that. Where he just counters. You're
always high on him.
I just saw his record when he started and joined the UFC. I just looked him up and saw, what he was doing before he joined the UFC, and the guy is very good on the feet. He just can't grapple.
Are you telling me that Pavlovich couldn't have done what Ngannou did when he knocked Rozenstruik out?
Ngannou though has a freakish power, but
whoa! Let's not act like Pavlovich
he does. But that knockout wasn't. If you look at that knockout, Ngannou Rozenstruik.
Yeah, he just didn't care.
It wasn't a good knockout though.
I know, but
I know it's a good knockout to look at. Like
but he blitzed.
But the technique on the punches was not good. Like he was winging.
I know.
And Jorginho was trying to counter him. I think what messed up Jorginho was that his back was on the fence. If that was in the middle of the cage, I reckon Jorginho could have clipped Ngannou.
But if you look at Pavlovich's all his finishes, it's because he's disrespectful to his opponents. He doesn't care about what's coming back.
It's a confidence thing. You're right. Since that Aspinall fight, he's not the same. He doesn't have the same confidence as well. So yeah, it's
So you got the win, but it's like all the momentum that got you an interim chance. Like he was 2 fights ago, he was fighting for the interim belt at Madison Square Garden. Like, let's not forget this. And now it's just like, he got knocked out and he lost to Volkov, and now cool, he got a win, but it's just now he's back in the run of the mill heavyweights, right? He's just one of the pack now. Whereas beforehand it was like, okay, you're looking at the heavyweight division. Damn, Pavlovich knocked. Damn, Pavlovich. And you're like, this guy is clearing out the division. That momentum's gone now. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So and then you got Almeida. He's saying if the John Jones fight don't happen, all of that. I mean, Volkov got robbed by Cyril Gane. I got to be honest, other than the Jones-Aspinall fight, the division's it's honking a little bit. Do you know what I'm trying to say? But it is what it is. Whether Dana goes all out and makes this fight happen, I'm praying. Please, can we get John Jones v Aspinall in the summer? Give John Jones whatever money he wants, because that's the fight we all want to see. Because if they strip Jones and they give Aspinall the full title, who's his first fight? Almeida or Cyril Gane? I mean, everyone's gonna be like, we'll watch it. I will watch it. But it's not. It's the hype.
Do you think Dana needs to sign heavyweights? Because it's a bit. You're right. You look at the heavyweight division. There's not many names. I think he needs to sign some heavyweights. But where's he gonna sign them from?
No, a Dana White Contender Series. But the complete heavyweights. Right nowadays as well, you can't just be a heavy smack. You can't just be this heavy puncher.
You have to, you've got
to reach the top and really like for example,
you gotta have speed. You got
for example
have attributes.
That's why Aspinall.
You can't just be big and strong and have knockout power. You've got to have speed. You gotta have technique.
That's why Aspinall's like
he's the new breed. He's the new
right.
breed
You got John Jones, obviously the GOAT, but I'm saying of the new gen, right? You got Aspinall that's there. You look at an Almeida, unbelievable grappler, right? But then his striking's, it's not there.
Aspinall Almeida is a horrific matchup for Almeida, because he's not going to be able to submit Aspinall. In terms of takedown, he might be able to take him down, but Aspinall's not a scrub off his back. And on the feet, he's in trouble. So that is an awful matchup. The John Jones matchup is an even worse matchup. How does he beat John Jones? Again, he's not going to be able to submit John Jones. He won't be able to take down John Jones on the feet.
Cyril Gane would be his best.
Cyril Gane would be a good matchup for him. But then Cyril.
But this is what I'm saying. Cyril on the feet, but then he's got deficiencies in wrestling. Yeah. Then you got Curtis Blades, really good wrestlers, a really good wrestler, but he can get knocked out. Yeah. Derek Lewis,
very powerful on the feet.
So it's a lot of the heavyweights. I feel like they got one star attribute. Yeah. But then they're deficient in the other side.
You'd say the fighters in the UFC or even in MMA are more well-rounded in the lower.
You're way more likely.
You are the more well-rounded.
Exactly, you're way more likely to be well-rounded in the lower weight classes. And should that be the case? Because Aspinall proves that you can be fast, you can be quick, you can have fight IQ.
Some of it is just genetics, though. I think you're born with that kind of speed, that fast twitch muscle thing. I think you're born with that. Some fighters just won't be quick. Some fighters, some fighters that are not quick, but they land on you, it's a wrap. Yeah, but Aspinall definitely is that new breed of heavyweight, new breed of fighter. He's a bit of a freak.
He is
But
a freak.
In terms of the card last night, I mean, you wasn't really too impressed with the card.
No. I thought, no, it wasn't great at all. And I've seen some fight nights where, you know, a lot of times it's like, and a lot of people, they might see fight nights throughout the year, and they're like, But people saw this fight night. I saw tweets saying that it was better than 312 next weekend. They were like, yeah, this is going to be a proper one. And I mean, if we go through the card, obviously we had a shock result. Was it a shock result? Well, yeah, it was a shock with Imavov knocking out Adesanya. Then the co-main event didn't really live up to the hype because MVP strolled to a 30-27. What was the fight before that? What was the fight before that?
No, Jairzinho versus
Jairzinho Pavlovich. Guaranteed knockout, I thought. It goes 15 minutes. No one really gets hurt. So, and even the rest of the card wasn't great. You know, you're even checking the bonuses and it's just like, yeah, I mean, it was a good performance here and there, but nothing really stood out. So it is what it is. Sometimes these fight nights can sort of happen, and it wasn't great, but luckily we can move on swiftly to previewing UFC 312 in depth. So we'll start off with the main event, and we've mentioned it a little bit, but yeah, I feel like Duplessis is gonna get it done. And does he finish?
Yeah, Strickland's an awkward fighter, but the way Strickland talks before the fight, where he's like, "I'm gonna go to war," and there was a guy talking about it. I mean, he's a guy that with very little output on fight night. You know, he throws jabs, straight punches, teep kicks. He doesn't really. Maybe he's conserving his energy because I mean he doesn't really put a lot into his punches and stuff. You know, not really a finisher as well. He does have finishes, but he's not really a finisher. And I just think that style that he fights, where he just throws straight punches, jabs, teep kicks. You know, I think Dracus will have done his homework.
But also,
I think Dracus will have done his homework. He comes from a very good camp, and I think they're gonna come to this fight, and they're gonna put all the doubts to bed. You know, Dracus got the win the first time. You know,
it was
it was a controversial win. People say Strickland won. I think Dracus edged it, but I think Dracus will come back, do his homework, and I think Dracus put all that doubt and controversy to bed.
I think Dracus has gotten better though,
and I reckon he stopped Strickland.
Really?
I reckon he stopped.
Okay, that's why I'm a bit like, does he stop him or whatnot? But I think Dracus has gotten better since their last fight, and that's what I'm saying.
Has Strickland gotten better?
No, and you're right. The big bone that I have to pick with Strickland, right, is he's good at hyping up fights, but at the same time, when you hype up fights and you don't really like, I mean, the Paulo Costa one, I mean, it was a prime example. Throughout the build-up, it was like, I'm giving you lots of war. Like, I'm going to kill Costa. He's getting put to bed. And it was a jab fest.
That's the thing.
But not even an impressive jab fest. It was tippy-tapper, bring the leg up, teep kick. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It was like, you're not really... And then the last 10 seconds, it's like, yeah, let's go. And there's only so much you can do that for before fans are like, right, Sean, I'm not gonna lie to you. Where is it? Where's this talk? Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's one of them ones where, you know, you became champion, you beat Adesanya, unbelievable performance. Yeah, no one expected it. You nearly finished him. Very similar to what Imavov, you know, Izzy got caught by Strickland, the 1-2 down the pipe. So it's one of them ones where he wins that. Then I do feel like that loss kind of he didn't like that, and he was very open about it. He was like, I can't believe I lost to Dracus. They were fighting and stuff. It was mad. Yeah, cool. He gets back on the horse with a win against Paulo Costa. I didn't personally think. I think they should have given the title shot to Hamzat straight away.
That's till now. I don't understand why the UFC didn't do that.
Yeah, so they've given him a favor. I gotta be honest. They have done Sean Strickland a favor, giving him this title shot. This fight is huge for Sean Strickland. Gotta be honest.
You can't lose twice to the champion in your weight class.
Yeah.
Every time somebody's lost twice. When Whittaker lost twice to Izzy, since then he hasn't had a title shot. It really ruins you. You can't lose twice to the same guy. He probably will never get a title shot again, possibly, unless he goes up in weight. So yeah, I think Dracus wins. We both think Dracus wins. I think he finishes him a cracking fight.
Finish. Ooh.
Yeah, like I said, the middleweight division, the best division in the UFC.
Do you know what?
I have to say.
I don't know if it's late finish. Strickland is durable though. I won't lie to you.
Other
than Alex Pereira absolutely chinning him, yeah. And that's because he didn't even know who Pereira was. I don't think he watched any tape on Pereira. He just walked in and was like, yo. And then he just got seriously dealt with. He is durable. But I think Duplessis will win a decision, but it won't be close like the last one. We're talking...
Yeah, I think...
we're talking 50... Yeah. I think if Strickland wins 1 or even 2 rounds, he'll be doing well. But it won't be like, oh, we're going into the 5th and it's super close. No. Dricus will make this one a lot easier, in my opinion. So I got him unanimous decision, but convincing, and you think he'll stop him?
I've got a 4th round finish.
4th round finish?
Yeah, a later finish.
When did he finish Izzy? 4th round as well? So back...
Yeah, it was
back to back 4th round.
That's his style though, Drake, because he sort
But that's what I'm saying. So
just wears
when we're arguing about against if he fought Hamzat, that's his bread and butter. He gets better later on in the fights.
Yeah, that's the only question I have. If him and Hamzat fight, can Hamzat, if Dracus survives that early blitz, we know Hamzat in the 1st, 2nd round is a monster. Can Dracus overcome that, and can Hamzat handle Dracus in the later rounds? That's the only question mark I have. But I would say Hamzat would edge that fight.
And let's talk about the co-main event a little bit in depth. The rest of the card ain't great, so we can just talk about the co-main. Weili Zhang against Tatiana Suarez. Suarez finally getting her title shot.
I said this though, Tatiana Suarez, she just had a lot of injuries, and it just reminds me of Khabib back when he was coming through and he was just this monster, took everyone down, and then he kept getting injuries, knee injuries, back injuries. He missed weight, and then people just forgot how good he was until he came back against Barboza. When he fought Barboza and when he fought Michael Johnson, then people are thinking, who is this guy? Where did he come from? But he's been in the UFC for how long? I think it's the same thing with Tatiana. I'm not saying she's as good as Khabib, but she has a very, very similar style to Khabib, where she takes you down and she absolutely batters you once she's on top. I think Tatiana, to me, it's not a shock, but I think she'll shock everybody. And she will put her stamp on everything, and I think she will batter.
Well, do you know what?
I think she'll do it.
Do you know what?
Talent.
No. I hear you, but I can't bet against Zhang Weili. That is. Do you know what? Recently as well, it's funny. First of all, we'll branch out a little bit. My favorite fight ever is Zhang Weili against Joanna 1. That is my favorite fight ever. That fight.
It's a mad fight.
I can't bet against Zhang Weili. I just can't. She got knocked out by Rose, yeah, and I was like, bro, my heart sank. Yeah, and then she beat Carla Esparza. She lost twice to Rose, isn't it? That's still I'm still fuming about that because I don't particularly rate Rose Namajunas like that. But anyways, it's one of them ones where she regained the belt. She beat Carla Esparza, who we expected her to win pretty comfortably. Yang Xiaonan in the last fight. I mean, she had her out. You remember? She had her in the squeeze and Xiaonan was out, and the fight continued, and it went all 25 minutes. But, I mean, Zhang Weili is just an unbelievable fighter. And I hear you.
Yeah, no, Tatiana, I think it's her time. It's perfect time. She's coming back from injury, and
I do hear what
the trajectory is just perfect for her.
Who was her last fight?
And I think she'll honestly,
Tatiana?
She's had so many injury problems and injury issues. It's difficult for me to say what.
So, but let me ask you this: you think, because you said batter, yeah? So you think there's such a big gulf?
No.
Hold on.
I think she'll take her down and
yeah. So there's such a big gulf in the grappling between Zhang Weili and Tatiana Suarez that Tatiana Suarez will be able to hold Zhang Weili down and absolutely smother her.
I think Zhang Weili won't know what's here. But once she gets taken down and she feels that ground and pound, Tatiana's a different level, bro. She's a different kettle of fish. I'm pretty sure she's D1 as well. She's D1.
Jessica Andrade. Submission, guillotine choke.
Listen, she is a problem.
August
Tatiana
2023.
Suarez is a problem. I think the timing's perfect for her. And I think she gets the job done. I reckon a decision. It's like a dominant decision.
Oh, okay. So she doesn't get the finish.
No, she doesn't get the finish. A dominant decision win.
So she wins.
Similar to Khabib Barboza. Do you remember how he just battered him for 3 rounds? But this will be a 5-rounder, of course.
So you're expecting like a 50-46 or something, a 50-47. Like Zhang Weili might win 1 or 2 rounds, but that's it. 1 round.
Yeah.
Nah, man. I'm going the other way. I think Tatiana will win a round or 2. She'll get her grappling will be a factor in this fight. But what about the striking? What do you think? You think Zhang Weili's not gonna land a couple smacks on Tatiana Suarez's head?
Yeah, she can, but does Zhang Weili have that one punch knockout power? Does Zhang Weili have that?
Bro, you joking?
Does Zhang Weili have that one punch ice you out?
Who has that in that division?
That's what I mean.
Jessica Andrade.
Yeah, but of course Andrade hits like a monster. I was gonna say something crazy, but Andrade can crack. But unless you can do that, it's hard for me to gauge, because you're not gonna stop Tatiana from closing the distance and grabbing you. And once she grabs her, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. That's how good Tatiana is in terms of the wrestling.
For you to say that's a wrap, nah, I disagree.
wrap.
That's not a wrap.
Tatiana's a menace.
I know she's a menace. I'm not saying she's not, but I feel like. Do you rate Zhang Weili? What's going on?
I rate her. I just rate Tatiana for you.
All right,
I've
fair
rated her
enough.
for
Do you
years.
know what? We'll agree to disagree on that one, but I don't know. You lot let me know, but I'm standing firm. I think Zhang Weili, it'll be a hard fight, but you're saying that's light. You're saying it's light work.
No, it's not light work, but it's
Convincing win.
It's a convincing win. I'm not saying light work, but it's a convincing win.
Zhang Weili will land. Zhang Weili will land some nice punches.
But listen, Tatiana could freeze up at the bigger stage. She's never been in that position before. There is that question mark. Will she freeze under the lights? You know, big step.
What does it mean if Zhang Weili wins, though, legacy-wise?
I think it's a good win. It's a solid win for her.
But you're saying she should be. What are the odds?
Yeah, but
actually?
the legacy fights are like Joanna and fighters of that caliber, Rosenham and Yunus. Because Tatiana hasn't been in that position yet, it's hard to say.
Yeah, but you're saying in terms of a scalp, you're saying she should be favourite.
Yeah, but in terms of her ability, I'm not saying she should be favourite. I'm just saying what I think, how good Tatiana is in my opinion. So yeah, I think Tatiana will get the job done. But it's a good fight. It's a good fight, and I'm not saying Weili's a poor fighter.
Wow,
Weili's amazing,
the odds are bang close, you know.
Yeah, bro, even they know Tatiana's a problem.
1-1 for Tatiana to win. And then 4-5. Damn, so they think it's a close fight. Well, listen, I'm edging towards Zhang Weili. You're edging towards towards Tatiana Suarez. The rest of the card, I mean, they didn't really stock it up.
Yeah,
one thing though, Toporia's brother is competing, and Volkanovski's
team
cornering.
They're both gonna be cornering. There's rumors that that's Volk's next fight.
Well, this is the thing. That's something that we need to talk about, because what's going on with Dana saying, yeah, we've cooked up something crazy for Islam. We got something exciting for Islam. What is it? I'm trying to figure out.
I think Islam Makhachev, the best fight for him right now, because I think he smokes everybody at lightweight. I think going up to welterweight as well, he beats all of them. The only question I had him going up to welterweight was against Shavkat. But looking at Shavkat's performance against Ian Gary, even though he won, does not convince me that he has a good day's night or good night's work against Makhachev. I think Makhachev for me is just that good. I think he smokes the welterweights as well. I think he smokes all the welterweights.
Yeah, because we're getting apparently we don't rate Makhachev.
Yeah, but the user 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
yeah,
7,
yeah. Apparently we don't rate Makhachev, but it's one of them where I agree.
It's all not.
I agree.
Anyone who watches the sport, Makhachev's the best fighter in the world. He smokes all the lightweights. He smokes all the welterweights. The only question mark I had was against Rakhmonov, but I said the Ian Gary fight didn't convince me enough to say that he beats Makhachev. It will be a good fight. It's a step up in terms of, he's fighting a bigger guy, but I reckon Makhachev beats him. But beyond 170, there's weight classes for a reason. That's all we're saying. But when it comes to the Ilya Topuria Makhachev fight, it's a cracking fight, but you also have to question Ilya's size. You have to question it. Makhachev is never making 145. So just off that,
have to cut off his leg.
just off that, if Topuria goes up to 155, he's a smaller man. Even if he puts on some size,
Yeah.
regardless, he can put on as much muscle as he wants. He's fighting a naturally bigger man. And on fight night, Makhachev will have the size advantage on him. Whether it's 10 pounds in weight, 15 pounds. And all it takes is 10 pounds difference on fight night. And that will make the difference, especially when you find a wrestler whose whole game is to take you down and hold you down. So, yeah, I mean, just off that, I think...
But do you think that's the exciting fight they're talking about?
I mean, it's the only exciting fight for now because Makhachev's not going to go up to 170 whilst Bilal is the champion. Him and Bilal are close. You know, they're good friends. Bilal's obviously trained with them. He mingles with them. So unless Shavkat becomes a champion, even Shavkat, there's a bit of history there, but he's a lot closer to Bilal. The only fight, like you said, the only exciting fight that Dana could be referring to has to be the Topuria fight. It has to be that Topuria fight. But then there's rumours Topuria fights Volk, so it's a bit...
Well, yeah,
it's a bit of a mix-up.
Bo Nichols said Miami UFC 314 guaranteed Topuria v Volk 2. And he wants to fight on the card. So, I don't know. You know how Dana is sometimes.
But to be honest, though, there has been a few announcements recently. You know, we can talk about the fight that just got announced for UFC London. My boy, Gunnar Nelson.
You were wondering...
Cage, after 2 years, I was wondering where the guy went. It's good that he's back, and it's almost
he beats Kevin Holland, doesn't he?
I mean, I hope he does. But sometimes when you're out the cage for that long, it's not good. But the last time he was in the cage...
if he grapples him...
The last time... Yeah, to be fair, Holland can grapple as well, but of course, Gunner's a different level on the mats.
The Ridder is just
Enzo
a bigger
Gracie
guy,
black belt. You know, he's a monster. You know, amazing.
It's a nice addition to the London card.
Yeah, I hope he wins as well, Gunner, and I hope he hangs around because he won his last fight. You know, 2 years ago he won.
Who was it against?
I mean, it's that long ago. was it Rodriguez?
No, I'll have a look.
But yeah, he fought 2 years ago. And he won his last fight, but for some odd reason, he just went missing after 2 years. Actually, it wasn't. It was I know who it was. It was the guy who was Scandinavian as well, I think. But yeah, Gunnar Nelson for me has to hang around. I think he beats Kevin Holland.
Oh, no, Brian Barberena.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
March 18th, 2023, UFC 286.
Exactly. And it was just a London card as well.
It was a London card.
So he's fighting on the same card 2 years later. And yeah, it's good to see him back. You know, Holland with a quick turnaround, which is interesting. You know,
at 170.
At 170, I think he should stay there. He's too small at 185. More announcements as well. Not UFC related, but MMA related. Apparently, there's a new organization on the cards, the GFL. They've signed all of the former UFC champions. Well, all the ones that are sort of retired or semi-retired. All the sort of fighters that have been released from the UFC. You know, Dylan Dennis is part of the GFL as well, which is interesting.
And I feel like maybe we should just take a minute just to, you know, Tony Ferguson's not in the UFC anymore. Yeah. And as much as his last run in the UFC...
Was it 8 losses in a row,
and
7, 8 losses in a row?
You know, the people that only started watching recently...
Yeah, they don't know how good Ferguson was. But
Tony
Ferguson,
was a madman.
One of the best lightweights to ever do it. Was the
crazy winning streak.
Champion. The only reason why he didn't become a champion...
Blades and Shades.
The only reason why he didn't become a champion was because McGregor hugged the belt for 2 years and didn't fight.
And also,
of course,
every time...
And Khabib was around as well, of course.
But we didn't even get that fight.
Yeah, but
so.
They should have stripped McGregor and made the Kevin Lee Ferguson fight for the undisputed.
But do you know what? Talking of Conor...
Yeah, he's finished. In the cage, outside the cage. What's wrong with your boy?
What are you telling me, my boy, bro? Listen, Conor, like... Even, bro,
he's lost his marbles. You know what I mean? He's not all there. And
it's actually starting to.
Yeah, he's tweeting rubbish.
Paul,
and even Dana was asked yesterday.
He was like, I don't know when he's coming back,
bro.
He's not coming.
He's finished. I said this before.
He's not coming back.
People think it's a joke. This guy is not fighting again. It's a wrap.
Yeah,
all the McGregor fans that are wondering when is he back.
No.
Your boy,
I feel
your
like
boy is gone.
No, I feel like the majority. Like, listen, the majority of people have accepted that Conor's just not fighting. You see him at BKFC. You see him trying to do the 250 million fight against the Paul brothers or whatever.
Bro, the guys, even that whole Paul stuff, yeah, where he was talking, Paul this, Paul that. Bro, he was on a bus with them.
Yeah.
He didn't even do nothing, bro.
But he's just...
You know what I mean? He didn't do nothing. Like, he's there befriending them. They're good friends. So, yeah, it's what a fall from grace. It's...
But the thing is, going back to... We can talk about this as well, is the Paul Hughes Usman fight.
That
was a great fight.
A cracking fight. Like I said, a lot of people thought Paul Hughes won. A lot of people say Usman won. It was a great.
I thought a draw would have been fair.
I thought a draw would have been fair.
Especially Usman got deducted a point. Let's not forget
and there
that.
was even controversy as well. That fight. I mean, with McGregor and Paul Hughes.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Going like.
Yeah, McGregor. I mean,
Paul Hughes.
Then post fight, he said, "I'm not like that guy," which I get. You know, you don't want to be associated with him. But then you were asking him to be in your corner.
Yeah,
it's a bit.
Yeah,
it's a bit weird. So I get it. Why there's a bit of.
No, I get why Connor's like, you know, he's a bit like.
But then he took it too far with all the Derry comments. and stuff.
And saying that Northern Ireland, like.
If you know the history behind that,
it's crazy.
It's mental. That's how you know he's lost his head. Is that not his history as well? Those are his people.
Yeah.
So, crazy.
But Paul Hughes, you know, he took the mature approach. Even talking to Helwani, he was like, "Listen, like this is my idol, but at the same time, you know, I can't really condone what he's saying. And listen, at the end of the day, we can all agree that Connor's not fighting again. And Paul Hughes, you know, he's in the PFL and whatnot, but you know, later down the line, would love to see him in the UFC. Now, that's it for today's episode. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And watch out for the clips on the TikTok. We post all the clips there.
Instagram, Twitter.
And on audio platforms, make sure to download the episode. We'll be back next week for UFC 312. Peace out.